Very common problem with vinyl shutters or PVC shutters is the tilt connector breaks. The tilt connector controls all the louvers, and when one breaks, it's a very simple fix. The first step that you'd have to do is remove the tilt bar off of the shutter. And that's very simply by turning it, each one, to release it. The fast way, but it can cause more damage, is just to pull it off. But if you want to be careful and maybe save some more, you could easily turn each one side to side. Now you have a tilt bar with one broken piece. All you have to do is remove the cap off of one end. When you turn it over, there may or may not be a silver set screw. If there is a silver set screw, it will be right in here, and you just remove it with a small Phillips screwdriver. The next step would be to actually try to push the rest of the hooks, the rest of the connectors, to pop it out. Oftentimes they're in there very tough. If you cannot push the end cap out, the next step would be to get a screwdriver in here and try to pry it out. You can go to the other end, because it doesn't matter which end you take off, and you can pry. That does not work. You can get a pair of diagonal cutters and try to wiggle the top off. Get in between the actual cap and the tilt bar to remove it. Once you get to this step, oftentimes the cap is ruined, but we send extras at no charge if you bought the shutters from us. Cap is removed. Just like that. Any way you can get it out is perfectly fine. Now, if you're trying to save your cap, or if you don't want to go at it with this sort of a tool, the next thing you can do is get a small coffee cup, put about 1 inch of water in it, put it in the microwave for a minute. Dip the end into the cup for about 20 seconds, and what that does is that it makes the actual material expand enough to where the cap should come out easily. So with a variety of those steps, and in the absolute worst situation, you can take a screw it into the end, put the end of the screw into a vise, and pull it out. This by far is the hardest step of fixing the situation. Once you have your rod, you identify the broken one. When you take it apart, be very careful on the order of which it comes apart. The new part looks like this, and if you notice, the very top one is shorter, okay? And that's for the spacing of the shutters. So when you take that out, make sure that's the last one you put back in. Now, if this is the one that's broken, hold it alongside of the piece that you got and just cut it with a pair of scissors, and then you have a new replacement part. So essentially what you do is you take all the parts out until you get down to the broken one, which there's the broken one. Cast that aside, and then put all your new parts back in. And remembering, the top and the bottom one are different. Now, if those are pointing that way, the next one you want to have pointing opposite directions so it operates the slats properly. So drop that in. And again, with the last piece, the cut area goes to the top. Once that's in, if you can use your old cap because you haven't damaged it, put it back in. If you have a new one, you can put it back in. And it may be very difficult to go in, which is good. You can turn it upside down, pound it on a table. You can take your cutters or a small hammer and tap it in like this. Okay? And that's kind of fit it should be. Now, if it goes in really loose, it's probably going to fall out when you're working the shutter. So what you're going to want to do is take a small screw and insert it into the hole. And that would solve the problem. Next step up is the reinstallation of your tilt bar with the new hooks in it. It goes very simple. You turn the tilt bar to the side and lace it in like this. Actually, put the tilt connector into the slat and you wiggle it around until it goes in. And then you just repeat for every single louver as you go down the shutter. Maneuvering the slat and the hook until they come together. Now the easier option to a hook repair or a tilt bar repair would be just to buy a new tilt bar, which we do sell these complete and intact. All you would have to do is just unhook the broken tilt bar and replace it with a new one. Prices on these vary depending on the shipping, but they're from $10 to $20 depending on the size. And what we would need to know is how many slats that you have and the length of the bar. And it is very important that it's from the manufacturer, Vinyl Specialties. Otherwise, every shutter company's tilt bar, slats, and spacing are different.